Lotuses are great for lotus root, which, you ever have lotus root at a Chinese restaurant? If you've ever had a root that looks like an old-fashioned telephone dial, that's Chinese lotus root. The American one is just as good, and it's native and underutilized, so we're swapping out to that. It makes also very nice edible nuts. It makes these big shower head looking seed heads, and they have very, very nice edible nuts inside, which I like quite a bit. Chinese and American. The American one's just a baby, that's why it's small. It'll get big. This is pickerel weed, which is kind of a weed in there for us now, but it has little edible seeds. They're okay. That's coming out next year. It's an experiment. The cattails for shoots, among other many uses. What we really like on those actually is the these lateral roots come out we're growing them in pots, and it'll send these root shoots out in midsummer, and those are really nice vegetable.
Which one is that?
The cattails.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have water celery over here, which is not at the right time of year to eat, but this is a really nice vegetable in the spring, and it actually comes up under the snow. We have a patch of it over here in the ground, as it'll grow in the ground or in the pond. It's kind of weedy, but it attracts beneficial insects. It's very nice perennial vegetable, and anything that comes up under the snow and you can eat, I'm pretty psyched about. You know, that means, hey, that means it's ready early in the spring to eat. This is an edible canna, edible rooted canna, which is semi-aquatic, and we'll see how it did this year. I got this from you, and I think you got it from someone who got it from us a few years ago.
Okay, I'm curious. I put mine in the ground, and they're like 6 feet tall.
Yeah, in the front it does much better. I don't think it likes the water that much. I read it was semi-aquatic, so I'm trying it, and I think we'll move it back up front next year.
Cool.
So these are mostly in pots?
These are in pots, yeah. Just because it's easier to manage them that way.
Sure.
You can pull them out with the tubers like arrowhead, which has already kind of died back. You turn them upside down, lift it up, and the tubers are all right on the bottom of like a pineapple upside down cake, so you can pick them right off. Lazy person's garden technique. We have arrowhead in here that is, it's basically already gone dormant. So I can't show you one, but they make little sort of turnip-like roots, kind of like a nutty, slightly bitter turnipy tuber on those. Some are purple, which is cool. And we've grown Chinese water chestnut in here, which is great, but you really, up here, you have to start those inside like a month or two ahead in a greenhouse or something. But they are, a fresh water chestnut that you grew yourself is outstanding, really outstanding. And then the funkiest thing we have in here this year, watercress you can grow, but you need circulating water for that. Which we don't have anymore. We just keep getting rid of one element after another that we don't need in here. So we grow this stuff called water mimosa, which has now been kind of killed back by the frost. But it's very funky. This is a floating aquatic species from Southeast Asia, not hardy here. You have to bring it in. It has these little white things on it. It's like if you took a bunch of marshmallows and ran them all on one twig. These are flotation devices. And then it has these kind of, they're not quite as pink anymore because it's dying back, but the roots are very pink in summer, and they're fixing nitrogen. So it doesn't need soil, it just grows on top of the water. And then the leaves are a sensitive plant that will close when you touch it, and they taste like cabbage. So very minor vegetable for this area, but very, very interesting, unique kind of a plant to grow. And if you have a greenhouse with a pond, it's a great choice for growing a bunch of aquatic food. But here it's really mostly just for show, which there's nothing wrong with that.
What do? Do you have to worry about aeration at all?
We don't do anything for aeration. Because we don't have big fish. If you have koi, you really need to do that. We just buy every spring, we buy a couple of feeder goldfish for 10 cents a piece at the pet shop. We throw them in. And they eat the mosquitoes. They eat mosquito larvae, so we don't have that. And now we have some frogs in here too. Besides mosquitoes, the other main issue is algae. You can get a lot of algae in a pond, especially in spring, which is, well, it's gross, especially if you're eating stuff out of there. So the strategy for algae, I mean, you can use algicides, and you can buy barley straw, which is algacidal somehow. But the easiest thing is to shade the surface of the water. And if 70% of the surface of the water is shaded, algae won't grow. The other thing is we grow some submerged aquatic plants that just grow underwater and they suck up excess nutrients, and that takes the food away from the algae. So we really do very, very little to manage this, and it's amazing habitat benefit. The birds are in there drinking water, the dragonflies are in there and then going around and killing bugs. It's an anchor for wildlife, for beneficial wildlife in the garden. Bees are in there drinking, ladybugs. All the good stuff you want is using this opportunity